and welcome to the program today. I'm Anne Mwawadu. We begin with stories and happenings that made headlines over the weekend. The president of Benin, Patrice Talon, has met with visiting Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang. Talon said the new Chinese Foreign Minister visiting Benin on his first trip to Africa shortly after Benin and China celebrated the 50th anniversary of the resumption of diplomatic relations. The president said China has made achievements that attracted worldwide attention after finding the right development path, which is inspiring for other developing countries, adding that his country looks forward to learning from China's experience and deepening and expanding pragmatic cooperation with China so as to speed up its own development. Meanwhile, Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang met with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, respectively, in Cairo on Sunday, on the last leg of his Africa tour, and they agreed to further deepen cooperation between both countries. Sisi first met Qin at the presidential palace. It was followed by talks between Qin and his Egyptian counterpart, where both sides worked on strengthening bilateral ties.
We will communicate or coordinate with the Egyptian side on bilateral relations and international and regional issues of common concern, and promote the new and greater development of China-Egypt relations. I've just held fruitful talks with Foreign Minister Shoukry and reached a broad consensus. I fully agree with His Excellency's assessment of the relations between the two countries and the outcome of our talks, and we agree that China and Egypt have strong strategic mutual trust and should continue to firmly support each other on issues involving each other's core interests and major concerns.
His visit marks the 33rd consecutive year that Africa has been the destination of the Chinese Foreign Minister's first overseas tour of the calendar year. Experts believe Chinese Foreign Minister's latest trip to Africa indicates that the prospects of China-Africa ties are flourishing, adding that African nations will take more initiatives to promote cooperation with China.
So they are also working in some other West African countries, including Ghana, including Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, and the rest. The Chinese companies, in fact, the Chinese government just built the largest stadium in Dakar, Senegal, sometime last year, and opened a long bridge that links Senegal with Gambia last year also. There are a lot of infrastructure coming up that are built by Chinese companies, sometimes under shared partnership.
I think what the African countries want to do is also expand the nature of trade between Africa and China so that it could be a two-way flow. China has been quite supportive to African countries. China is providing a lot of infrastructure funding, including use of Chinese labor and Chinese technology to build infrastructure in Africa. So you've seen a lot of Chinese capital in Africa.
To other stories now, at least 10 people have been killed and 39 others wounded in a bomb attack on a church in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo claimed by Islamic State jihadists. Congolese military spokesman Anthony Mwalashai said the terrorist act happened in a Pentecostal church in North Kivu province's Kasindi, which is a border town with Uganda. The DRC's communications ministry said on social media that the attack was apparently carried out by Allied Democratic Forces, that's the ADF, which the Islamic State group claims as its affiliate in Central Africa. The ADF is one of the deadliest of more than 120 armed groups in eastern DRC. It has been accused of slaughtering thousands of Congolese civilians and carried out bomb attacks in Uganda. In the meantime, Senegal's President Macky Sall has said that the second road accident this month involving mass casualties has underlined the need for better road safety measures. And this is coming after 19 people were killed in the early hours of today when a bus and another vehicle collided in the northern part of the country. Last week, the president declared 3 days of mourning after a crash involving 2 buses left 40 people dead. The government also banned buses from traveling at night and ended the practice of importing second-hand tires. However, the president has sent his condolences to the families of those who died in the latest incident. We head over to South Africa now, where the Johannesburg High Court has granted South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa an interim interdict against the private prosecution brought against him by former President Jacob Zuma. The case, which was to commence on the 19th of this month, required the sitting president to appear in court for the proceedings. Mr. Ramaphosa approached the courts for relief from Mr. Zuma's private prosecution of him in his matter against the state prosecutor, Billy Downer, and the journalist Karine Morgan, who he accused of leaking his confidential medical records in the arms deal case and is now charging Mr. Ramaphosa for failing to act against them. The matter was heard by a full bench last week, and delivering the brief judgment, the Deputy Judge President Ronald Sutherland ordered that the application was indeed urgent. Given the closeness of the private prosecution commencement date, Mr. Zuma has been interdicted but from proceedings with the process for now. Also, punitive cost aspects have been reserved for the conclusion of Part B of that application, which will deal with the legality of the summons for the private prosecution. The judgment means that Mr. Ramaphosa will not have to stand in the dock this week as an accused. Meanwhile, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has cancelled plans to attend the World Economic Forum in Davos over the ongoing energy crisis in his country. The country is facing its biggest ever power crisis, with people experiencing rolling blackouts of up to 6 hours a day. Mr. Ramaphosa has said it was due to lead a government delegation to that event, but the presidential spokesman, Vincent Magwenya, has said that he will instead hold talks with leaders of political parties and state-run power company Eskom. And still in South Africa, authorities are on the hunt for a privately owned tiger which escaped from a property in Walkerville, south of Johannesburg. And that's according to local media. The female tiger escaped after the fence was cut on Saturday night. It was said to have attacked a person. It also killed a dog and mauled another. Animal care authorities have asked people not to approach the tiger on the loose for their own safety, as it is dangerous. Let's now bring our Channels Television South African Bureau Chief, Betty Dibia, on Network Africa. Hello, Betty.
Hello, Anne. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Now, speak to us about South African court's decision to halt a private prosecution against President Cyril Ramaphosa, which was, of course, initiated by former President Jacob Zuma.
Well, that case was the major case was supposed to come up on the 19th of this month. That's on Thursday. The sitting President Cyril Ramaphosa, requested the urgent or filed the urgent application for an interdict. There are 2 parts to the case. Part A was the issue of the urgency for getting that interdict, because he's still questioning the legality of the private prosecution that the former president or his predecessor is bringing against him, saying that the nolle prosequi certificate given by the National Prosecuting Authority did not have him in that certificate. It doesn't cover him. So why would the president or former President Zuma include him or charge him or go ahead with the private prosecution? So the judges, the 3 judges present, agreed that it was urgent, that if he is questioning the legality, why would he be subjected to submit himself to that court process? Because President Ramaphosa had talked about infringing his rights to his personal freedom, his dignity, and his reputation as well, if that court case would go ahead. So now that he got the interim interdict, that's not the end of the case. The different the legal sides, both sides, were meeting with the deputy judge president. That's Judge Ronald Sutherland, who for the like a court management meeting where they'll decide the when and the wheres and the hows of that aspect of the case. That's the part B, the legality of this court matter, and then the use of that certificate. So he is free for now from the issue of appearing in court or that legal matter proceeding on the 19th. At least now he can face the issue of the energy crisis, which is really frustrating everyone in the country.
Which is what my next question is actually about. Another crisis, which is the power cut. It has worsened in the country, making the president even cancel his own plans to attend the World Economic Forum. But speak to us about what is expected from the outcome of his meeting with the state-owned power company, that's ESCOM.
We don't know yet, but he's had meetings with what is called the Energy Crisis Committee. Of course, you have the board members of ESCOM, that's the power utility, and he also invited the leaders of the political parties that are represented in parliament. We don't have much detail, but the EFF was part of that meeting, and they released a statement calling on the president to leave office, saying that at that meeting, that's that part of that meeting, that the leadership of ESCOM admitted that they're incapable of solving this power crisis in the next 24 months. And that even within that 24 months, that's according to the EFF, we've not heard from the president, even within the 24 months, there's no likelihood that ESCOM will perform up to 60% of capacity. So we're in for the long haul with this power crisis. So ESCOM was supposed to brief the nation as I'm speaking with you, but last minute they canceled it, saying that they're holding meetings, they're briefing the president as well. Probably before that, after that, they will get to speak with the nation. But many people are up in arms. There's so many protest marches planned, and even court cases as well planned against ESCOM, marches to Lutuli House, which is the headquarters of the ANC. That's the ruling party in South Africa. And marches, some marches happened in one other province, I think the Free State today, but the biggest opposition party, that's the Democratic Alliance, plans one for next week. And the leader, John Steenhuisen, requested a one-on-one meeting with the president, but that hasn't been granted yet. We're looking to hear what plans are in place,
but let's
especially the immediate term.
All right, but let's quickly talk about another development. A privately owned tiger is currently on the loose in the south of Johannesburg. I'm curious, are there laws to allow persons to own or even breed wild animals? Aren't they supposed to be in a zoo or something?
South Africa, I don't know. You know, tigers are not part of the big five in the country, but you have a booming market of tiger breeding for commercial purposes. I don't think, according to one of the SPCA, that's the Animal Welfare organization that I was listening to, a holding permit is not, I don't think it's actually required in the country. So if you Google, which I did, if you Google tigers for sale, you see so many options to choose from, which is a problem. Right. It's not just tigers, other big cats as well in the country. And you often hear some of them escaping from places they're being held, which is a problem.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope they get that sorted. Thanks a lot, Betty Dibia, South Africa Bureau Chief. Thank you for your time. United Nations spokesperson Stefan Dujarric says that humanitarian needs remain extremely high in parts of Afar and Amhara in Ethiopia that were impacted by the conflict. Speaking at a press briefing in the United Nations spokesperson said aids continue to be sent into the Tigray region. He also noted that the UN Humanitarian Air Service and Ethiopian Airlines are now conducting regular flights to that region.
Humanitarian colleagues tell us that aid continues to be sent to the Tigray region. Since mid-November, following the cessation of hostilities agreement, some 3,000 trucks carrying more than 105,000 metric tons of food, as well as health, shelter, water, and other supplies, have been brought into the region through 4 road corridors. The Humanitarian Air Service and Ethiopian Airlines are now conducting regular flights into Tigray. Also, since mid-November, food has been distributed to more than 3 million people. However, some areas remain hard to reach, including some border areas in the north and areas off the main roads. Humanitarian needs remain extremely high in parts of Afar and Amhara that were impacted by the conflict. The distribution of food and other assistance continues, although gaps remain, including in areas where people are returning to their homes. Meanwhile, in the eastern and southern parts of Ethiopia, communities continue to suffer from the devastating drought impacting the Horn of Africa that we've been telling you about.
A British charity is expected to seek permission from the High Court in London to appeal against the controversial government plan to send some asylum seekers to Rwanda. Asylum Aid will argue that the court erred in its ruling in December that the scheme was lawful and will challenge the judgment that the country is a safe destination for migrants. Now, if the court allows the charity's appeal, any flights under the scheme will be further delayed. The British Prime Minister and Home Secretary have made curbing immigration via the English Channel a political priority. In December last year, the High Court upheld the government's decision and curtailed the rights of migrants to challenge decisions to put them on a plane. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has over the weekend called for a ban on overseas travel by members of parliament and civil servants to save money for priority areas. He made the remark while commissioning facilities at Uganda Petroleum Institute in Kugumba, where the country intends to train local experts in oil exploration. Uganda hopes to start pumping millions of barrels of oil in 2025 from its vast oil reserves, but the president was unimpressed that the training institute was still incomplete due to lack of funds. The president also suggested a freeze on all allowances. Well, back here in Nigeria, the federal government has challenged governors across the country to substantially increase the budgetary allocations to the education sector, and this is in order to provide the necessary impetus towards improved teaching and learning process and the reduction in out-of-school children in Nigeria. The Minister of State for Education, Goodluck Opia, gave the charge in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, while flagging off the national campaign and sensitization of out-of-school children in the state capital.
From the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria is 20 million, a far cry from the 10.5 million recorded by UNICEF in 2020. This growing number poses huge socioeconomic consequences, especially in the area of security. In order to check this growing trend, the federal government is collaborating with states with this program designed in partnership to increase the enrollment of pupils.
You will agree with me that there is nothing to cheer about if a single child is out of school, not to talk of the millions that are currently roaming the streets in different parts of the country, instead of being in the classroom learning. It is in this regard that ensuring that out-of-school children are in school and learning, not only as a moral and legal obligation, but also a productive investment that will guarantee the future of our children and ensure that their rights are protected as enshrined in the 2003 Child Rights Act.
His address on this occasion of the campaign.
For Governor Dapo Abiodun, his administration's programs in the area of education have steadily improved enrollment for children in public schools to 1.7 million in 2022.
We know we still have a lot of work to do, but it is obvious that we are making steady progress. We're committed to ensuring that all children in Ogun State have access to quality education and all other social amenities that will make them better citizens and worthy inheritors of the future that we're building together. We will continue to invest in the future of our children.
The state government seems to be matching words with action as it presents educational materials, including bags, books and sandals to some children, a strategy adopted to increase enrollment of children in public schools.
Africa's star musicians hit the red carpet over the weekend at the annual All Africa Music Awards, celebrating the continent's best talents. The four-day event culminated at an awards ceremony on the outskirts of the Senegal's capital in Dakar. Nigerian music stars, we're talking about Burna Boy, Davido, Wizkid and Asake, all dominated the winners list at the 8th All Africa Music Awards, AFRIMA. Burna Boy, who won Artist of the Year and Album of the Year, and Davido, who won Best Male Artist in Inspirational African Music, and Wizkid, who won Best West African Act, did not appear to be present at that ceremony to accept the awards. Nigerian singer Asake was named Breakout Artist of the Year, and during his acceptance speech, Asake, whose real name is Ahmed Ololade, said that winning was a dream come true. He said it started as a dream, but today it's a reality. Thanks to God, my label, and all my fans listening to my songs. Ashake's music dominated the Afrobeats music scene back in 2022 with hit songs like Sungba, Peace Be Unto You, and Omokwe, amongst other songs. The AFRIMA Awards are held every year to celebrate the best music from the continent. And on that rewarding note, we end Network Africa for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawodo.